welcome to another episode of Bonnie Sessions. This episode features Two-Headed Calf, a band from Glasgow, and I interviewed Sarah and Katie this March about their single Wasteland, and also I'm not sure if it's still the next upcoming single, but we talked a lot about how the next single back then was inspired by Sylvia Plath, and how in general literature is a big inspiration for the songwriting and lyrics. And yeah, I feel like Wasteland is also a good song right now. I feel like we all should collectively listen to Wasteland and hold hands together. Anyways, so we talked about their songwriting process and how they came together as a band, what their message and dreams are looking like. And yeah, I hope you really enjoy this episode, and make sure to subscribe to us to get music reviews and also all the other episodes. All right, enjoy this one. I have Two-Headed Calf with me on the podcast. Welcome.
Hello.
I love your name. It definitely I definitely thought of the painting, you know?
Oh yeah.
Um yeah, very Dakota Warren vibes, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to love them.
Yeah, it came from the poem. Who's it by?
Oh right.
Open.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like art that goes along with it. I think a lot of people have tattoos of it. I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And they always have like Moon Song by Phoebe Bridgers like playing in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's
Nice.
a bit of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name?
I wasn't there. It was you and
Yeah, it was me and Callum.
Callum's our guitarist. He's not here.
So we were sitting in his room and we were like trying to come up with a name, and I had like a list on my notes and it wasn't even on there. But then we were like saying how some bands have named themselves after poems that they like. And I was like, oh, I read one the other day called Two-Headed Calf. Apparently it makes a lot of people cry, so I think that would be fitting. And then we were like, that also sounds like a cool name. Like it could be like a heavy rock band, or like if you didn't know the context of the poem.
Yes.
Or it could be, what we are.
Yeah.
So
I'll find the poem and read it to you. So
that's a nice idea.
Yeah.
I
think it just makes a lot of people like think about like empathy, like just people who are like, especially women, I think just are very like finding that kind of like empathy for like nature and stuff. And yeah,
it goes, tomorrow when the farm boys find this freak of nature, they will wrap his body in newspaper and carry him to the museum. But tonight he is alive and in the north field with his mother. It is a perfect summer evening, the moon rising over the orchard, the wind in the grass, and as he stares into the sky, there are twice as many stars as usual. Nice. It's lovely. I really like it. It makes, I was explaining the band name to somebody and I said it makes me think of like, because like I said, the calf is going to be like experimented on in the morning, but right now it's happy and it's about finding moments of joy before everything goes wrong and doom. And that also makes me think of like the climate crisis and stuff, like trying to find ways to enjoy the time we have with nature now as we're trying to save it as well, instead of just focusing on how everything is
kind of about
wrong.
Being present and being like, it's okay, it's okay right now, kind of. So
I think that's what some of our songs focus on, that sort of space.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely listened. I listened to Wasteland first time while driving, I think on release date. Oh no, the day after. So when we had our interview, I think. Yeah, I was on my way to, was it that? I don't know. Anyway, I listened to it in the car, and it was like it was so beautiful, like, you know, because I took in nature around me because I'm living in the middle of nowhere, you know. So I took the nature around me, and it was a sunny day, and I was like, damn, this song is like, because it has many surprises, and I was like, wow, like, you know, first you think it's like an ambient song in a way,
Mm.
and then yeah, I really like the, yeah, I had someone else on the podcast from Glasgow. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was Kilgore.
Yes,
They're
I love that band so much. I
nice.
saw that and I was like, oh my goodness, we're gonna be on the same one as them. That's great.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, and we talked about how I like how we both were happy that like longer songs are coming back.
it.
Like
Right.
it was all about 3 minutes, and then, you know, like people even had like artists had to cut songs, and I was like, this is insane.
Well, we had a lot
Yeah.
of chat about that because we made a shortened version as well to
Hmm.
submit to like radio and stuff like BBC Introducing. We made like a shorter version that was like what, 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the limit for BBC Introducing is like 5 minutes. So we were like, let's just.
Yeah, because our song is 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It is. So
Yeah.
we made a short version that cut out the long intro and shortened the
I think it was like the second chorus.
the end section was like compacted, and we talked
Okay.
a lot about whether we should release the long version or release the short version and then release the long version like as part of an EP, because that's the
Yeah.
eventual plan is to do an EP, and we're trying to decide if the single should be the long version or the EP. But we decided on the long version. I think I'm glad that we did because
I'm really glad we did.
Hmm.
I
I
think it's
asked like some people about it, and they were like, they're like, I was kind of like, if people are gonna go through the effort of going onto our Spotify to listen to it, they're not gonna think about the fact it's 7 minutes. They're just gonna listen to it,
Yeah.
and then like hopefully be so engrossed in it that they don't notice that it's 7 minutes. So yeah, I'm glad that we released the longer version as well.
I think
Yeah.
having the long version with the quiet intro gives you even more space for it to get larger by the end. I really like it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I noticed like you guys only use like in the TikToks and the Instagram videos you use mostly the intro, so it's beautiful to like start listening to this like
Yeah.
well, wrong.
I'm
But
the
like
intro.
what? Sorry, you cut
Sarah's
off.
the TikTok person. She does all the
Yeah. So it is the intro, right? That you use.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
at first it was before it was out because I just
exactly.
had it saved on my phone. So I just used the intro because I was like, ooh, like teaser, like
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now that it's on TikTok as an actual sound, it only lets you use like 1 minute of
Yeah.
it, and it's like right in the middle of the song. I think it's like just before the second chorus where the
That's weird.
your little
All
Oh,
right.
what's the
sounds.
bit we picked when we uploaded it? And
Yeah.
it does pick what bit we wanted to use for previews.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's like that's the preview it allows me to use. So I would like to use a different part of the song, but TikTok doesn't let you.
I'm
So
sure we can figure it. I'm sure there's a way we can figure it out.
yeah, maybe. I'm just not that great at the algorithm stuff.
You're good at the algorithm stuff.
Yeah, you like work like that's how I found you guys, because I saw like a video and I was like, oh, nice new music, and I thought, oh, new band as well. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go.
Me and Callum have find that side of stuff harder. Sarah's very good at it, but I think it's nice we all have our little areas of what we feel we're good at or what we care about, and it makes things it's a lot less tiring when like being in a band versus doing solo projects. It's much nicer when you can split up the responsibility and you don't feel lonely.
Yeah, because there's definitely stuff that you guys are better at that I'm not. But I'm like, I had a One Direction fan account, I had a Taylor Swift fan account back in the day, so I was ready for it.
Yeah,
my whole life up to this.
Yeah, I had a fan page as well when I was like 14. Yeah.
You share your whole life on there.
Not really, but
I did. I was an oversharer.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
So many blogs. There are like some, and then they got like passed on to other people, and they're like still up on the internet somewhere, like pictures of my 14-year-old face. So I was like, nonsense. It's awful.
Oh, I didn't post pictures of my face. It would be like an edited picture of Taylor Swift because I used the same filter because you have to have a theme. And then at school, my crush talked to me and stuff like that.
Having a fan page definitely teaches you a lot about social media and how like what works, what doesn't. I mean, you have the basement of like, that there's already fan base out there because it's not your work that you're promoting in a way. You do like free, promotion for other people.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe I should set up like a fan page for us.
Yeah.
Create
yeah.
Yes, that's genuinely stuff that people do.
Yeah.
My singing teacher told me that her friend is a country artist, and her manager created a bunch of fake articles being like, oh, like top new artists to like watch this year kind of thing, and then would just like put
and
like,
it worked.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
You didn't hear it from us.
Well, I guess it's easy, it's easy to like create fake articles nowadays. Yeah.
You can't trust anybody on the internet.
Yeah.
Except us. You can definitely trust
definitely not us. I'm a pathological liar.
Sarah. That's our target audience. Our music is for the girls who are pathological liars.
They only lie to themselves, not anyone else.
Yeah. Nice. We already tackled that Sarah's the social media head in a way. But yeah, what instruments do all of you three play?
Well, Sarah's vocals.
Yeah.
And she does guitar as well, and she writes most of our songs, or she starts most of the songs. She's the lyricist. I play keys, so I do piano or synths, or usually I have 2 keyboards and swapping between what I'm doing. And I have vocals as well. And I've written some stuff. I'm starting to try to write more stuff for the band that we can collaborate on. That was something when we first started, we found tricky because Sarah had so many songs and they were all amazing. But when they were all already written, it was like sometimes hard to come and be like, how do we make this a two-headed calf thing when it's all already there? So we've been working more at writing like collaboratively.
Yeah, which is very fun.
I really like it. It means it feels like all of us, like it's from all of us, and it also feels like something that you probably wouldn't do by yourself, and you don't get stuck because you just pass it to somebody else, and somebody else will have an idea.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk? Can we talk about the McHill's gig? Do you want to talk about it?
Oh,
it was a very bad gig that we played. It went very bad.
No, right. Well, it wasn't that bad. It was like pretty. It was like our worst one, and it was one of those ones where like some people, I don't know what the audience thought of it, but while we were on there, I was just like, I can't even remember what song it was, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like from beginning to end, stuff was just bad and going on.
It was just technical, during sound check, it was all on me. We joke that I have the world's most technical difficulties because I have the computer set up with all the keyboards. And during sound check, one of my pedals broke, and I needed another pedal. But then because I plugged it into a different port, it was like sending my computer different like MIDI signals, so it was all breaking. And the sound guy, like it was just. So I wasted our entire sound check having issues. And then we got on stage, we were sitting there ready, and the sound guy turned the music down and the lights on, and then Sarah was like, oh, I haven't plugged the guitar in.
I strummed it and there was no sound, and I went, and then I looked behind, I left my lead on stage, I looked behind me and someone had taken it, like, because we were headlining, so all the other acts had already been on stage. Someone had taken it, clearly, I assume not on purpose, but like, still, I couldn't find it anywhere. I had to like run around the whole venue.
I know, it took like 5 minutes, and me and Callum were just sitting there, like, and the sound guy had like stopped the music and turned the lights on, and we were just waiting. And
I think
we
you
were
guys
just,
started playing stuff.
I think I just played random
songs,
and then Callum's guitar strings broke in one of the other songs.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No. We hadn't practiced one of them enough, and like I couldn't remember the words. Callum couldn't remember how to play it, and then we were playing like a cover of Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, and Katie's piano was so quiet and my voice was so loud, and it just sounded like I was singing a cappella, and it just wasn't good.
No,
it was just like,
oh,
it went really well. It was a one-off, I promise.
I didn't even post anything from it.
Yeah, was that the single release show?
No.
Okay.
This was like last year.
Oh, okay. So how did that go?
yeah. So the most recent show was very good.
Yeah, it was
nice.
That was.
I was very sick though.
Where did we play?
I was like, I had such a bad cold. I like was trying to like
Yeah.
preserve all of my energy for singing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the show ended, I lost my voice completely for like 5 days.
No,
So
she was a trooper. We played.
God gives his biggest battles to his bravest soldiers. So
it's true. We played at Classic Grand on like what 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, on like 20.
The day that our song came out, and it went pretty well. I think we were pleased with it, especially considering that we really weren't happy with the last gig that we did. So I think it went really well. We had our friend Emily playing drums for us.
Yeah,
she came on for a couple songs, and
that made a difference.
think it made a huge difference. I think people reacted a lot more to the music because, I mean, drums just like they bring a song into a whole other space, like energy wise. It's so much easier to get an audience on board with a feeling when you have a drummer, because you're just like, this is what this is supposed to be like. And that made a really big difference. I was really happy with that.
Yeah, especially because we wrote like a song together, and it's like one of the more like upbeat kind of like rocky songs, if you could call it that.
I would.
Yeah, and like I remember, because I've written songs by myself since I was like 12 years old with just like acoustic guitar. And then when we were like, let's start writing together, I was like, oh, I've tried this a couple times with random people and like it's never really worked out. Like we can't really get anywhere. And then Katie came up with like this chord progression, and then I was like, they'd came up with it within the 15 minutes that I'd gone into the other room to eat my dinner. And then I came back in and they played it for me, and then like that week I wrote like the melody and lyrics to it. And I was just like, I remember being like, oh, I don't know if this is good because I've never like written something like this before. I'd never like worked with that kind of like sound, I think. So but then it's ended up being like one of my favorite ones.
Definitely, I think it is my favorite. I really like it. And like if we'd played it without the drums, it would have just fallen flat, because it's another one like Wasteland where there's a really big dynamic contrast between the verses and the chorus. But like even more so in this one. And if you can't like get that across properly, then it wouldn't have worked. So I was really happy with it.
Nice. I found it such a nice idea that you did like a single release show. Was that planned? Like, did you knew that there was a gig coming up?
We tried to like plan it so that we were like, we want to release Wasteland in March, but we were like, let's do a single launch, because after that gig that we did in October, we were like, let's take a break from gigging and just like work on writing stuff, which we did do.
We wanted to like be intentional about how we were spending our time. And you know, a lot of bands, it's just like you gig every month, and that's just kind of what everybody does. So you don't really think about it. You're just like, I'm just gonna gig. But we thought maybe you don't, maybe that's not what you have to do, and you can think about, you can have like a point to like, I'm doing this gig for this reason, rather than just gigging for gigging's sake. And we didn't have that many songs in our catalog that we were super happy with, so we took,
because I think for the McKeel's gig we were trying to like really pick at like, oh, do we like this one, what about this one? And I was kind of like, oh, this set is like fine, but like I can't even remember what songs we did now, but like we've written since, and like obviously that's what we said we wanted to do. Like it wasn't just like my songs, it was like like someone comes up with something and then like I'll write over it, which I really really enjoy doing now, because it's just so different, push out the comfort zone and all that. But we were like, let's release it in March and then like try and find a gig around that time. So and then it just so happened that someone reached out and said, we're putting on a show at the end of March, do you want to be on the bill? And we were
Ultraviolet Presents was the promoter, and they offered us a slot. The gig was supporting, oh my god, what was the band called? Tenterhooks. It was their EP, so they were headlining, and then 3 support bands. And it just worked out. So when we got offered that, we were like, okay, that's the date, we'll put it out then. And then we planned it for that. We've been recording it for a long time though, like a long time. We started recording it in like December.
Yeah, I think.
And that was one of the ones that you wrote on your own and then you brought to us.
Well, I wrote it by myself last year, and then I posted a clip of me singing it on my Instagram, and then next time, the same day, we came up with the band name. Um,
Do you want to like talk about what it means, what the song means for you?
um, yeah, therapy. It,
Yeah, go for it.
um, so I wrote it like last March. I graduated from uni when I was 22, and then I did a degree in psychology, which if you know anything about that, you just can't get a job with it.
Yeah.
The other thing was like I probably could get a job, but I was also just like very lost in like not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, do I leave Glasgow? Do I stay? Do I p- pursue music full time? Do I do a master's? Do I blah 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 blah?
Mhm.
And all my
So many
friends
options.
were like all my like my friendship group in uni was like all getting 9 to 5s or like just moving on with their lives. Loads of my friends moved away, especially to London for some
Mhm.
reason. Um, and at the same time, I had lived with like my best friend for like 4 years, and then we fell out. And so not only
Mm.
did I lose my best friend, I lost my home. So I was just sort of like not very happy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, look, thinking back to when I was like, I moved to Glasgow when I was like 18, and I was like thinking back on how like much hope and opportunity I had at that time, and like making all these new friends, and like just was like, yes, like I'm young, wild, and free in the city, and then I was kind of just like, I've got nothing left. All my friends are leaving. They're all moving on. I'm grieving like a huge loss. I feel like I don't have a home here anymore.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was like, there's Glasgow's just like a wasteland to me now. Um,
Mm.
and they all lived happily ever after.
Yeah, I've been to Glasgow 2 times and I want to come back. And it's actually interesting because the first time I was there, I didn't like it at all. I was there on my own and like I knew that I have a lot of friends in Newcastle and I knew that some of them lived in Glasgow, but obviously it was summer, like holiday, like school break, no
Mm-hmm.
one was there. And so I was really sad and I lived in a hostel and like one day I had found someone but like they're always changing and so I was like just trotting around Glasgow and I didn't like I also found it a bit ugly like the first time around but probably because I was just sad and unhappy and then the second time I actually came back because I kind of got together with one of my friends, which was a fold. It was an experience.
It's for the plot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually how it went down in my diary. I was like, it was for the plot. Isn't it funny what we do all for the plot? And yeah, and I definitely want to. I think of coming back actually in August, so like 1 year later, in the same time. So I don't know. I hit you up when I'm there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I found it like I was like, oh my god, like you wrote this about Glasgow because like although I didn't like it the first time, and the second time I spent time with someone, like I was like, why? But like, I have like I'm a writer, and I kind of have like the feeling like I'm writing a new novel right now, and it is set somewhere in Glasgow. Like the city reminds me of Glasgow, and I'm like, am I writing a novel about a city I didn't like at all the first time I was there? So I'm
Mm,
like, I think I need to come back, like fresh
yeah.
about anything. And
Yeah.
like,
Glasgow's like a funny one because
yeah.
I'm from here. I live here,
Oh, nice.
but Sarah's from Northern Ireland and Callum's from like the Highlands, so they both moved down for
Yeah.
uni.
Yeah.
So like they both like live on their own. I'm still living at home, so we have kind of different experiences with the city. I think I had a sort of similar thing to you where I like because I don't live in the city, I live just outside the city.
Yeah.
So when I was younger and I was coming in, I was like, we're going to the city. It's amazing. And this is where all the cool stuff is. And then I started going to college and I went and then I was like, this is like my place. Like I can claim this. Like I feel like I'm
Hmm.
getting to know this place and like it's cool and it's mine and I love it. But then like the last year, because I've always and did you say you where you I don't really know much about your home. You said it was kind of rural, didn't you? Or kind of less city-ish.
I live in like a small town. like, but I
Yeah.
live like very, very close to Belfast. I mean,
Okay.
my parents do.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went to school in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because the last year I've just become more aware, like, that I've only ever known living in the middle of massive suburbs and a massive city. And my partner lives up north where it's much quieter. I'm spending more time up there and getting the realization that, like, there's like actually like ground, like there's actually like a land
Yeah.
that exists underneath everything, and then coming back to the city and I'm being like, this is weird. Why are we living like this? This is really strange.
Yeah.
Like, why do we all have these metal boxes that fly
Mhm.
around us fast? Like, there used to be like a ground underneath this, like, that
Yeah.
had hills and shape, and now it's just like gone.
Yeah.
And you and Callum, like, remember when you'd worked on Wasteland? One of the days you were practicing without me, and then you showed it to me, and you were talking about how it made you think about like the motorway and the M8, which is the big motorway in the middle of Glasgow that goes from
Yeah.
Glasgow to Edinburgh. It's like the big fat one, and Callum used to live right next to the motorway, and
Oh wow.
talking about how the song made you feel like looking out over that, and it just, yeah, to
It's
me
the
it just
fact that like he, from Callum's bedroom window, his old bedroom window, you could see he lived like on like the 8th floor, so you could just see the motorway below, but then you just have like the People Make Glasgow sign in the distance, and that to me has always been such like an interesting thing to look at, when you're like looking at like something as like kind of almost like desolate and like never
Yeah.
ending, like the motorway. um
Yeah.
and I was just, it just sort of felt like you're just sort of, all these people are just like going somewhere. Like, I think you forget that like when you're on the motorway and you're like in a traffic jam or something, you're kind of like, all these people are like, there's people inside these
Yeah.
little metal
Yeah.
boxes with wheels, and they're all going somewhere, like, and they're like talking to the person next to them, and they're like thinking about things, and there's just like, and sometimes I'm just like, there's so many people that exist in the world, like, and I sound like I'm just like having like a psychedelic experience saying something like that, like,
You sound
like
like
a
you're gaining
man,
empathy.
like, yeah, like when a man like tries shrooms and then he's like, I think
There are people, like, my actions have consequences.
no, literally.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot. Like, lately, I've just been walking down streets and looking at the amount of cars parked on the side, and I'm like, really? Like, how much?
That's why I don't drive.
Like, how much money are people? You literally posted looking for a driving instructor like yesterday.
Well, that's okay. To learn drive is okay, but like, you know.
But yeah, that's what the song means to me. Thinking about like the motorway and the roads and that's all I don't live in the city, but I live in big suburbs, and I'm just like, it's always concrete, and it's just it sounds really stupid, but it's been crazy for me to realize that like there was stuff underneath the concrete, and there was a world, and now it's just gone. And that's what the song means to me, talking about like, yeah, like your idealization of a city being wiped away and just seeing what is left. And I love Glasgow. I'm very proud of it, and it's my home. But
yeah, I think
Glasgow is also a shithole. That's it.
Yeah,
I love it, and I will defend it to the day I die. But
well, it's funny that you said that the first time you came, you thought it was ugly and you didn't like it, because I had the exact same experience. I like, yeah, I mean, I went to Strathclyde, which is like kind of near like High Street and Trongate and stuff, which is like kind of like the more not as nice looking places in Glasgow. And so I was like, and also at the time, when I went to visit Strathclyde for like an open day, it was like under construction, so there was just like scaffolding everywhere as well.
Even worse.
Exactly. And I was like looking around, I was like, this is ugly, and there's so many like hills and like they're like really steep.
That bit,
and I just was like, this is not nice. And then my mum went, also, do you not want to come here? And I went, no, I'm gonna put it down as my first choice.
Yeah.
And I went, I just was like, I honestly at the time was like, I just have a feeling that I'm meant to be here. Like it's like what, like, because I'm a Christian as well, so I was like, I've just been praying about it. I just feel like it's just, you know,
and
what God's to do.
Now you live in the West End, which is like the nice bit.
No, I live in the nice bit.
Nice.
I know, Glasgow is crappy, and it is my favorite place, and I will not defend either of those statements. Those both exist.
Yeah, it's definitely so hilly. Like, I remember the same experience I had in Brighton, like when I arrived for the first time with my bag. I was like, oh my god, I'm living like up the hill. I thought it's like, on Google Maps it's at like 30-minute walk, and I was like, that's okay. But then I was like, oh, it's up the hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents both went to Strathclyde as well, and like
Yeah.
from my aunts and uncles and grandparents all in Glasgow, and my mum
Yeah.
would talk about when it was in winter and she would have to drag herself like up the hill by the handrail to get to uni and to get to her classes in the morning. So it was so icy.
Yeah.
I didn't
The
go to Strathclyde.
the guy I saw went to that uni, so I went with him, to
Mhm.
like just sit there and write, and I regretted it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You're trying to like be like romanticizing your life as a novelist, and then you're just sitting in Strathclyde.
Yes, exactly.
Not really the aesthetic. Like
No.
you think you need to go to Edinburgh for something like that. Be like J.K. Rowling, like sitting like looking
Yeah.
at Edinburgh Uni, like, oh, Hogwarts.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
Glasgow.
Glasgow, yeah, and as you said, Glasgow's so like traffic heavy. Like, Edinburgh is like, obviously Newcastle and Edinburgh both have, their highways and like streets where, cars are going, but they both
Mhm.
have like sections which are like the city, and like
Yeah.
Glasgow is the city still with cars and crossings and traffic lights, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, I need to come back. I'll let you know when I'm coming back.
definitely.
So yeah, just circling back when you were like Wasteland's about Glasgow, I was like, I kind of got the Glasgow vibe. Like, yeah. I was like, yeah, this feels in a way like how I felt like every single time I was in Glasgow, so that's nice. Yeah, that
Oh dear.
Yeah.
yeah.
I still feel a big mix of it. Like I still walk around and like you were saying when we were driving over the motorway the other week and you look out across the Clyde and the Squinty Bridge and you're like, this is the place where you romanticize Glasgow. Like when the sun is going down across the river.
It was cause like when I was like 18, 19, I've always lived in the city center. So like I've always been like small girl in the big city.
Yeah.
I remember like me and my friends would be like going on a night out or like to a party. Obviously we'd book an Uber. At the time it was like £3 for an Uber.
Wow.
In the way back in 2019. And I just remember like if we were going a certain way, like we would be driving along the bit of the road that we like looking out over all the bridges over the Clyde, and I remember just like the radio would be on and it would be playing like really upbeat like Friday night music like David Guetta or something like that. And like with my friends like in their like pretty little thing dresses, like with my blue hair, like oh my gosh, like this is gonna be a great night.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I would just like think about it. That's what like my first memories of Glasgow, where I was like,
Yeah.
yes, like I'm gonna make it here. And then I'm 24 and I'm like, I've lost everything. I don't know who I am. I'm like
so dramatic.
Yeah. But it gives off a kind of traumatic vibe. That's why I was like, yeah, I haven't listened to the lyrics that much, but like the sentiment, the feeling that the song gives me, that's how I felt in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I love now also like I know like where you're from, like that one of you is from Glasgow, and I like that. Good to know. Yeah, so you said you've been like gigging before releasing anything. How long does Two Headed Calf exist?
since last March.
Almost a year, yeah.
Yeah, so over a year now. Wow.
We first met, Sarah was looking for a band for her stuff. So the first gig we did was actually just under her name. We were the Sarah McMurrays. And we were just like playing her songs, like the stuff you had already released and the stuff you'd written.
Yeah.
But then
my pop girl stuff.
Yeah. So we had our first gig at Slay. We did
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah, which was so like perfect in my opinion.
June?
Yeah, it was like June last year. It was a hot summer day. Beautiful.
I have a very hazy memory of that gig. I just gotten dumped, so I think when I wasn't playing piano, I was just crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that gig, we started the band name, and we made a playlist, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah.
We made a playlist of
which is on our Spotify, so it's like
the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like trying to work out like all our different influences. And I think it took a while to work that out because we had like the really like ambient stuff, like, and then we had like the singer songwritery like acousticy stuff, and then there was like the Ethel Kane like what genre even, you know, like the other side of things.
Oh, I always, when I post TikToks, I always put Ethel Kane in there because I feel like Wasteland has like an Ethel Kane vibe.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had people comment being like, I thought this was Ethel Kane.
Yeah, it definitely has. Yeah.
Like some beach sides walk so we could run.
yeah, I think it took a while to like get all those influences together in a way that makes sense, like all the different energies and like timbral sounds, and it took a while to work out that like in our writing style. But I think we're on a roll now. Like we know, like Wasteland was the first one we did because it was the first song that we were like, that's who we are, that's what we want to sound like. So that's what we did it first, and I think that really helped consolidate what we wanted to do. So then we were to Edit Calf, and we did a gig.
We did a gig
at Room 2.
Yeah, that was in like August last year.
Yeah.
And that was
if I would have known about that, I would have come because I was there in Glasgow.
Oh yeah, you have to come next time.
Well, we didn't really have any social media out yet.
No.
We didn't create a TikTok really until we had something to promote.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I was kind of like, I don't really know what to post. But yeah, it was that gig was pretty good because we played with like a couple other bands who were really cool and really nice, and they had a big crowd, and they were also younger than us.
They're called
Honey.
They're
They
lovely.
were like the headliners, and I
had some friends in common with them that I didn't even realize till the night, and then I was like, "What are you doing here?"
Well, they're all like 18-year-old boys, and they're very, very lovely, and they're just so nice. They have a lot of people come to their shows, and it was so great because I just love like having like in the best way possible, like a bunch of teenagers who are really excited is just really like really great when you're a musician, because it's like they just were all coming up to us after like, oh my gosh, I love your vibe, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Like, you say that like we're so old. Like I was freshly 20 when we met.
Yeah, but I'm 24, so like I mean,
yeah.
But like your best is a drunk audience.
Yeah, I feel like teenagers. I mean, I heard about it when like American bands come over to the UK. They enjoy playing in the UK more than like in America because they say like, you know, we're allowed to drink younger and like young kids out of the house and stuff like that. But I always like thank you for calling me young, you know. I was always like, oh, thank you. But like I think it is definitely of like yeah, I think it's definitely of like, you know, being able to go to shows maybe alone as well, like, you know, when you're 18 you don't need a parental guidance with you and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely like from my personal experience, it was like, yes, now I'm 18, now I can go to concerts on my own, I don't need anyone else, I don't need to drag my mom to this indie band, you know. So I think that's why probably they're just hyped to be there, and it kind of apps up maybe when you're getting
there's also like the music scene in Glasgow is like it's great, it's better than, I mean, I'm gonna say that because I'm from here and I love it, but I think it's true. And there's a lot of niches, like there's loads of different kinds of gigs that are going on, and usually the audience is really well suited to it, and it's a different experience. But I think everybody is a good, generally I've not had like a bad audience when I've played.
Nice.
I think the music scene is my favorite thing about it.
Yeah, there is a huge music scene here. I mean, there's open mics every night of the week. There's gigs every night of the week, or most nights of the week.
Oh yeah.
There's live music at pubs everywhere.
Yeah. Across in Edinburgh, I know that a lot of the venues suffered in COVID and closed down, but I don't think as many had to close here, which I'm very grateful for.
My only thing that I would say is that a lot of it is just very male dominated.
Oh yeah.
Which bothers me because I'm drawn more towards like female presenting music.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching like female performers more than like than like a band of like another
I
band
do.
of four guys saying they're indie rock. Like there's
Yeah.
so many of them. I'm sure they're all great, but I'm just like kind of bored of it. Like
Yeah.
I'll be Alex Turner, guys. Like
Yeah. I knew exactly what you were talking about. I was like, yeah, I know what it is. Yeah. It's like in a way, like every single time I hear that there's a new band of four boys, I'm like, oh my god, they think they're the next Beatles, right? Like it's just the dynamic of like four boys, I think. Like if you think about the 70s, it was like so, like so
Mhm.
used to see just a woman in front and then everything else in the back was a guy. Like
yeah,
Blondie,
Yeah.
like six guys, and Debbie Harry. I mean, Debbie Harry was like, she's a rock star, but like,
Yeah, she's awesome.
um, like imagine Blondie if like, two or
They
three
were
more
all
women.
blonde women.
Yeah.
it'd be great. That would,
Yes.
yeah. That does make me like. I think you did a gig a few weeks ago, and was it meant to be all women who were like the
Yeah, it was. There's a promoter, more like music, and she had like all women fronted bands, and most of the bands were still like male dominated. Like I was playing under my own name, and I still had a guy on guitar and bass, but I had Emily on drums.
Yeah.
But even all the bands had at least one woman in it, and that was still like you
Yeah.
noticed, like during set you were like whoa, and even that's still just like what 20% or something, but it was still
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, I preferred watching that show because of it being like women fronting it.
Yeah.
But then it would be like a lot of them. I'd see like them walk on, and it'd be like lead singer is a woman, and then like all the rest
Oh
are
yeah.
guys. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking like if I was in a band, I don't know if I would really enjoy it if I was the only girl in it, because
Yeah.
I just feel like it would be hard for me to connect. And
Mm-hmm.
also just like having a bit more presence. I kind of like that we're all very similar height and size. Like sometimes when we go to shows and we like meet the other people we're playing alongside, I'm like, we're so small.
Yeah.
We're like such small people compared to these other people who are
Just a
playing on the
girl.
stage.
Okay. Well, when's you said you want to talk about like the next song you're like
Oh
planning to
yes.
release.
So
So do you want to
I
talk
love
about it?
this song. It's called. Can we say? Well, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's called Fig Tree.
Oh no.
Trees, fig trees. Yeah, fig trees. Okay. And it's after like, do you know Sylvia Plath?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I was like, oh,
the
yeah.
bell jar, like the fig tree analogy.
Yeah.
So it comes from that. I wanted to like incorporate that analogy into a song for a while.
You said
Um,
you also taught there was a passage in the Bible about fig trees as well.
Yeah, fig
oh
trees are
yeah, okay, yeah.
everywhere.
There's a part where Jesus like is really hungry, and he sees a fig tree and he's like, oh yes, and then he realizes that the tree has no figs, and he's like hangry, so he's like he curses the fig tree and he's like, you will never produce fruit again. And then they walk past it later that day, and the fig tree's like all withered. And,
Oh
like,
gosh.
Oh gosh.
I can't remember why I brought that up to you guys.
I think you were just thinking about like
Fig
fig trees
trees.
symbolizing like you were talking about like feeling it's too late, like you're running out of figs.
Yes, I'm running out of figs, and I don't want to disappoint Jesus if he's hungry.
Explain what the Sylvia Plath fig tree metaphor is.
So, it's basically like I think she's meant to be the tree, or she's sitting under her fig tree, right?
Mm-hmm. She's sitting under the tree, I think.
Yeah, and she's every fig on the tree is like a different road or path that you could take in life. Like, do you want to be like a novelist? Do you want to be a barista? Do you want to be a therapist? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be travel the world? Do you want to be a stay-at-home parent or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's like all these different options, and you know that you can't do them all, but you're so paralyzed with like decision anxiety that like you just end up choosing nothing, and then all the figs end up withering and dying, and then you can't pick any of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just feel like that a lot. So like the like being in like your 20s, it's like quarter life crisis vibes. And the song is kind of like there's one line in it that says like, I'm lost in a forest of 1,000 fig trees, because I was like, I feel like there's one fig tree. I feel like when you go into the woods and every time you turn everything just looks the same.
Yeah.
Everything I do, it just feels the same. It just like it just looks the same. And then I'm like, and then you think, oh, maybe I should get out of here and move away. And then you're like, but I feel like you can't run away from yourself. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's just going to be the same no matter what, unless you change something inside. But it's not meant to be like a really depressing song like Wasteland is. It's meant to be a bit more hopeful.
It does not sound hopeful to me.
Well, hopeful for me.
Yeah.
But
Just
yeah, it's
healing
like,
for you to write it. So
yeah. I mean, the chorus is like, it just says like, you think that you know it all. And I kind of got that from, like, also kind of from the Bible, I guess, where like I was reading it like saying that like all like the Pharisees and people who like don't like Jesus are like saying, well, this and that and this and that, and he's like, you think that you know everything, but like because you are so arrogant with like all your like knowledge, like you're like going to suffer for that eventually, and you should stay away from people like that. Like I don't really want to be around people who think they know how the world works and think they're just like, that's just how life is, and this is like what you're meant to do, and that's fact, and I know that for a fact.
It
And
makes me think of the, you'll know it, there's the Taylor Swift lyric, which is like, how can I know everything at 18 and nothing at
22.
Yeah, that's what the chorus makes me think of.
Yeah, it's kind of like that as well.
Nice.
That was my Instagram caption when I graduated. It was so true. It was so true.
The song for me, like you talk a lot about like the past and memories and things, and it makes me think of like, yeah, literally just that lyric.
Well,
Yeah.
You used to know everything, and you have like not that you know less now, but there's more things that you don't know.
I know more now that I know less. I know more now because I know that I don't know anything.
Say that 10 times fast.
Like I'd rather be around people who are like, oh, let's just try things, and like it's okay that like you don't know anything, and like not like blind faith, but like confidently being like having a faith that that like you're, whatever that's in. For me, it's always like Jesus. But just like knowing that like you're allowed to just like be a human who doesn't know anything, and like we're never really going to understand anything. And you should just like experience what you're experiencing and just like let it be like that. It doesn't have to be like, well, this happened to me because of this. And I think I used to be very, very like that, where I was like, there has to be a reason for every little thing that is ever said and done. And I'm like, it's just not how things work. Like, just like there's like a blossom tree growing outside my window, and I've been staring at it like over the last few weeks. I posted on my Instagram yesterday.
That's really lovely.
But I was just like, it's so beautiful, and to me that's what life is about. I just see the birds sitting on it eating the little pink flowers, and I'm like, I'm that bird.
She's a philosopher.
Yeah. I like it. It's poetic, she writes the lyrics.
My favorite song lyrically that I've done in a really long time.
I really like it melodically.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
It's like just a cool little
I get to play
melody.
Wasteland is a lot of synth stuff happening for me, but on this song I get to play a lot more keys, like it feels like an actual piano part. Rather than like Wasteland is a lot of just like holding a pad and then doing beep boops and knobs and buttons and like changing the sound as it goes along. And then there's like a piano bass line, but it's really simple. But in this song it's like an actual piano part, which I really love, because piano feels like listening to me play piano feels the same as listening to a recording of me talking. Like it feels like it's me, and I get to put it in the song, and it feels, no, the Wasteland doesn't feel like me, but I'm really pleased that I get to properly play piano in this one.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Definitely. Always here for any fig tree analogy art, that gets made out of that. I think that's a beautiful thing.
As a writer, I assumed that you would know it already. I just have like
it's all over my For You page.
Well, that's like I'm using TikTok to kind of be like, okay, people who are like in our like target audience are like indulging in this. Like there's like that trend now going around about it, like being like, this is my fig tree, and then they're showing a picture
Yes.
and then writing like what on each fig, like what their like different figs would be.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm using that. I've like saved it to a folder where I'm like, use this for something.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on, like, obviously trends come and go very quickly on TikTok now,
But you know, I realized like trends coming like circle back. Like if the algorithm knows you really liked that trend, then you know they send you newer stuff as well. Like if it's even if it's ages ago, but like I don't even know what it was, but I got like the other day I got a video with like an audio that was trending in 2021. And I got it back because I really enjoyed, like I always like saved it and always liked those, you know. And so I got one back on my view page and I was like, oh, this is cool, this gives me so much nostalgia, like it, you know. Yeah, definitely don't think too much about the algorithm, you know.
Yeah,
people will find it.
That's a trend. I didn't know that. I don't really use TikTok.
Yeah, but like, you know, Sylvia Plath is like, that book is like how old now?
in the 50s.
Yeah, like six, at least 6 years old already. So,
Yeah.
and she's, you know, we still talk about her, so like the trend cannot die out.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, she writes so much about like having like feeling lost in your 20s and
Yeah.
feeling things so deeply, and like being a woman, and which are like all things that I'm like, I'm going through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I posted on one of the TikToks as the caption like, the 1950s had Sylvia Plath and you all have me. Which was very like very bold, but I was like, that's funny.
Yeah. Nice.
If Sarah jumped off a cliff, I would follow her.
Nice.
It's
That's
so
a nice ending of yeah, nice. This was good. I had like my questions and I did ask a few of them and we talked about all of them. It was interesting how we like just flowed, the conversation just flowed.
Yeah, it was very nice. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've had a good time.
Yeah.
Howdy, enjoyed listening to this episode. You know the gist, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode with all of your friends and leave a review so more people can tune in to my conversations with my legends. This podcast episode is hosted, edited, and produced by Bonnie Orbison. Support her continuous work on her paid Substack, which is like an online diary, and she shares her poetry and lyrical essays on there, or get one of her books. Right now she has 2 fictional novels in German and English out, and now as well a poetry collection called Pretty Tennessee. This podcast is managed by the Queer Lounge, and the theme song is by Evie Solis. Video clips of this episode and anthems of the day on our Instagram at Bonnie's Legends, and we're also sharing from Monday to Friday daily the new music releases, so make sure to check that out. This episode is sponsored by Zencaster. Use my special link in the show notes to save 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. See you next time.